Roundtable Top 100, 90 through 86. The person right next to me, look at his face. Over these course of weeks, this face is going to be less and less happy as we go on. He messaged me this week and was like, "Oh no, man!" I was like, "Well, you can drop if you need to." He's like, "No, I'm in it, but this sucked." Like so, because this is supposed to be top 100 movies that have ever been created, and I made that pretty clear when I sent it. I believe now this is just 100 top favorite movies, and we'll get into the more in detail. Koho is also back. You were supposed to have my new best friend with you. Parenting came in the way, which I fully understand. But you do carry her opinions with you.
I do. I have her mini blurb of each movie. So
Koho also has the worst policy ever. I have one simple rule when it comes to Roundtable. Don't tell me what you feel about the movies prior to coming on. He just decided to just give me blurbs. He reviewed every movie. So, I know how he feels. We'll see the rest of the audience will.
Next hero you're doing.
Next up, you can you could have added a review after, and your reviews streak could have continued. You know that, right? Next up, the oldest man in the community by far, Andrew Barr.
Yeah, I thought so.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you guys asking me on. Let's talk movies.
And I didn't give him a proper introduction. He is my partner in crime for the series. He is the... I don't know. I'm trying to think of a grumpy version. Grumpy and grumpy, but he's the grumpier version of me. Kirk, how are you doing?
We'll see about that. I'm doing all right. I feel okay in that there are no objectively terrible movies on tonight's set, which is a step in the right direction. But do they belong on the top 100 all-time list? I'm not calling this top favorites. We call this top 100 movies all time. That's how I'm looking at it. So if I trash a movie, you have no one to blame but yourself. You put it here.
I would like you to do... would you like to reorder this list on most offensive to least offensive, and then release the top 100 when it's done? I would like to see where they would be. Sorry, Breakfast Club. You just got shot in the face. Okay, so basically, I will tease up front. The next month's movies will be Saving Private Ryan, The Red Shoes, Scream, Prisoners, and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. So that'll be the next episode that you're looking forward after this one. So if you want to watch ahead of it, I'm pretty pumped about the next week's episode. I know my co-host is also really pumped about it. Cameron Holtzman was also supposed to be here. Surprise dinner. All right. Cool. And it was at his place, which I don't know how it can be a surprise if it's happening at your location. But you know what? Hey, there we go. Canada's weird. Normally we make the plans and then they come over to our house. But apparently your parents can just be like, we're cooking dinner at your house. Okay, cool. Alrighty. So we're going to start with the first movie on the list. It is All the President's Men. Everybody seen this movie prior? Or is this a fresh watch for anybody?
Prior.
Okay. I'm going to steal somebody's line because they typed it out there, so I can just literally steal it because it's out there. Redford can literally act against anybody and have the best chemistry. He must have been the fakest guy in Hollywood ever. I don't know if it's true, but people would walk up to him and probably talk to him, and they'd dude, Robert Redford's my best friend. Robert Redford didn't even fucking remember your name, but in that 30 seconds, I guarantee they had great conversations. This movie, I think the first time I watched it, I was going through my Dustin Hoffman list of movies, and I had to get this one, of course. And I liked it. I think I did the classic. I respected it and I liked it. This time I loved it. I found way more in it this time than I did previous. I think the cast of characters, the intrigue around Watergate, it's kind of crazy. Some historical things, still that I have no reference to whatsoever, but I've heard enough about Watergate from growing up and like wasn't even close to being bored when Watergate happened. So I find that whole series just super fascinating and what it did to the country at the time. So I thought it was very interesting. I think they're incredible. I honestly have no when I looked at it on the top 100, I went, maybe. I have no problem with it being a top 100 film. I think it is really in that era, of movies and that like kind of movie. It's a gold standard. Like, it's really hard, in my opinion, on a second watch. I was curious what everybody else thought on it. I'm a Dustin Hoffman shill, so like, I'll take that little Jewish man doing his hyperactive in every movie. So everybody, go ahead. Pick it apart. Did you like it, dislike it, hate it, what?
This shit sucks. No, I'm kidding.
Like it. Sucks, on the record.
Let the record show. One Kaleb Koho said that Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford were hacks.
Ratatouille the musical, way better. Said
Ratatouille, if you please.
5 stars.
If that's what it says.
I hate
I'm
it.
out.
It's terrible.
Kirk's just looking at us like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
The pandemic
Stay
was
that way, Kirk. Stay that way.
All right. All the president's men. Talk about it.
See, I really like this movie a lot. I think that first of all, I love Alan J. Pakula's directing of this. Just like no, seriously, like some of the shots.
I know the name sounds fake. It has always sounded fake.
Yeah.
It's not a real name. Like,
but like some of the shots of like where you like see the TV of like the news that's happening in the moment, and then you just like see the two of them working in the background. It like stuff like that is just like great. The scene where they go to see the bookkeeper and like she's behind like the stairwell for like a good like first part of that, just like really great work. I think the acting in this is absolutely phenomenal from like literally everybody. Redford and Hoffman, their chemistry is just absolutely perfect. I really, really liked Jason Robards' performance a lot more on second watch. First time I watched it, I was kind of like, I don't understand why like people like bring up his performance in this. Now I do. It's just, I think it's really fascinating and interesting. I will say that the one issue that I had with it was that I think that unless you know like a lot of the details about Watergate, like literally everything, sometimes you can get a little lost in how deep it goes.
very Tony Scott like, where Tony Scott like fills so many courses of material that you basically have to understand the subject matter you're on. I get that. I got that too.
I like that because I agree. Like at first, I'm like, man, they're just throwing a lot of names, a lot of titles at you, and what it is. But I think that really helps you get in their headspace, because I think if they explained who every little person was and like allowed you to keep up, it would be a lot easier for you. I think not knowing exactly what's going on, I think it puts you in their shoes, because you get very much a sense of how lost in the woods they are. Like they may know who these people are, they may know the names, they may know the titles, the positions of that, but they are clueless as to everything else. And I think as an audience member, not being up to speed on every single name and every single person really puts you in that mindset of who are these people, what's going on, why does this matter? And I felt that way. I agree with you first time, Bar. Watching it this time, I felt that really kind of like did the world building of like that pre-Watergate world. Because for me, the crazy thing to me is how small scale it starts out and how it slowly gets bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. And I'm the oldest one here, and for me, Watergate has always been a thing. It's always been like one of the biggest stories in the history of American politics. And to tell that story from the point of view of people who are trying to make that happen. And I think they say at one point in the movie, they say, they did a poll and 50% of the people in America never even heard of Watergate. So that gives you an idea of what underdogs they are, like the hill they have to climb to get the story out there. I really thought that was pretty cool.
I think honestly, it may be like the biggest thing in politics. Like, how it's transcended and like carried on, and people still talk about it to this day. Because I think it's like such like what happened with it, like the normally there's stuff on bigger scale because it impacts something else. This is like internal. This is like party lines. Like this is like directly like that stuff. And I was hooked like immediately in this movie again. Like I think when I was like, oh, it's a 5. Is it 5 stars? Like when I was weighing it. And then like when Redford like comes up to him and they were having that first discussion on the paper, and he's like, I saw what you did. You didn't even mention until the third paragraph. Like I just improved it. And then Redford's like, yours is better. And then he comes back. He's like, if you're going to do it right, here's my notes. I don't have a problem with what you did. I have a problem with how you did it. Like that line is just like, oh, like, and then it's like, and then Jack Warden walks by and goes, you're both on it. Like, don't fuck it up or whatever he says. I was just like, yeah, I'm like fully on board. Like, this is just like, it's kind of movies that I just like though. Like this may not work for, I could see like half the community watching this and be like, no, thank you. But like the intrigue and the investigation and mix it with politics and stuff, I'm locked in. Like it just works. Plus, I don't think this works as well if you don't have two leads like Redford, or because it's just
absolutely
right.
That's absolutely right. Because for me, like usually I don't love these kind of movies. I just am not like the kind of like procedural investigative stuff. Just doesn't really draw me in as far as movies go. But I think it's the two leads. And I mean, I think it's the cast around them too. You mentioned Jack Ward, but like Martin Balsam, Robards, like the whole cast around them is really solid. Even like the bit parts, the people who come in and out are really good.
Alexander.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's that. And I think the pacing. I think it's just so well paced. Like the fact that like every scene just builds off the last one, and it just moving so fast. And I like the way it ends. Like it ends kind of in the middle of their story. Like you don't get like the big bust or anything. We can talk about the ending later. I love the ending, but you don't get like that big aha moment. Like it just kind of ends with them still working on
it. Yeah, I think Robert. I love Robert Redford. The more and more I watch of him, the more I like. I love how much of a movie star he really is, but like can fit into everything he does so well. And I think he's really good in this. I love this sort of altruistic energy he has. Where he's like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm going to solve this thing. And Dustin Hoffman kind of meeting that with like, not total cynicism, but realism, where he's like, listen, I'm with you and we're going to do it. But like, let's do this right and do it well. Let's do this the best we can. Like the scene you mentioned where he's like, if you're going to do it, I don't care what you did. I care about how you did it. Like that introduction is so good. I think that tells me everything I need about both of them in this dynamic. And also, like you mentioned, I love Jack Warden in this movie. I think Jack Warden's really fun. I like him every time he pops in. I like when he's yelling for them in the office. I think that's really good. I've never totally understood the Robards love because I think he's good. I just don't think he's like this all-time towering performance that I feel like I've always heard he is in this movie. But I think he's good. I think he's fun. I
wouldn't say he's like an all-time performance, even amongst like the supporting actor winners. Right. But I think that he was just like there was a stoicism and a smarminess that I kind of liked in his performance.
He's also standing next to two giant spotlights.
What I think he does really well in here is that he gets across the fact that he's the businessman. He has to think of the big picture. But also, he really wants this. He really wants this story. Like, there's that moment where
after the Johnson thing.
Yeah, there's that there's that moment where the three of them are just sitting there talking, and I don't exactly remember exactly what point in the investigation they're in, but basically they've got onto something, and Robarts is just like, yeah, go with it. And like he walks away with like a little spring in his step. He like kind of like punches the desk. Like you can tell he's fired up about it.
Yeah.
So I think he maintains that that energy really well. But I do think like whoever Jason Robards' publicist was in 76, 77, getting him these back-to-back support Oscar wins is just all time. Because if you don't think he does much here, watch Julia. And there's like I mean, nothing against the guy; he's fine, but he's in it for like 3 minutes, and he just shows up and waves and leaves, and got an Oscar for that. But compared to what he did in that movie, he's like the star of this.
The person I like most in this though is Hal Holbrook. I think Deep Throat is like really good in this, and every like scene they have in the shadows, especially the one where he's like put the red flag in the pot and then go to he like the first time you get there, I was watching with Maddie and Maddie's never seen it, and she was like, she did not know anything about it or what was happening, and she was on the edge of her seat in that scene because she was like, is he gonna get shot? Is something gonna happen here? Like, what's going on? And like when the moment he comes out and like has the conversation and everything, and it's like, I think that Hal Holbrook is really good. I like him as Deep Throat a lot.
Yeah. One other scene that I want to bring up really quick is it's arguably my favorite scene in the film. It's when they're leaving the one woman's place in their car, and they're having like this almost philosophical discussion. And it's the scene where basically Woodward says they're having an argument, and Woodward says, "All right, well, a guy comes up to me, and theoretically, a guy comes up to me, and he asks me for directions. Is he interrogating me, or is he just lost?" Like that, little moments like that in this film, I thought were just like so well paced and like well acted and written. Little things like that really stuck out to me.
Yeah, I think that was cool. Just that idea, like, of really getting into like the journalism of it. Like, we look at it now again, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, something happened, it would have came out, and it just needed to come out. But like them having to get it right, not just having the information, but having enough to actually, go to press and publish it, and it be strong enough for it to hold. And yeah, I think that just a lot of little moments, like you mentioned, Bar, where it's like, okay, we have this confirmation, but we need this, or was this good enough, or did that, what did they say? I think those moments are really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like the score for this movie. I think I picked it up a little bit more. I'm one of those people that is like, there's a score in that? That's best score? What? Because I don't pay attention. But I think that I when I'm doing these watches for this, because it's most of the time it's movies I've seen before, so it's like a fresh rewatch. Like, I'm trying to not nitpick everything, not like YLS style, but I'm trying to like get why this would be considered best of all time. And like, I think it checks a ton of those boxes. Like, I think it does what it needs to. I understand it. Again, you can't tell me the Sight and Sound people, the people that vote on that stuff, like, those are the greatest films of all time in their opinion. If that is, then God, I would hate to have a movie night with any of them. But like, because I think popular movies can be the best of all time. You know what I mean? Like, I think you have a case. Like, it doesn't have to be this indie darling that snuck through the thing, but like, for it to still have this popularity or still have this power, like, I recommend this movie a lot to people like that, like intrigue movies, like investigative work, stuff like that. I also just think I unlocked something, not the Post, but newspaper stuff, because stuff I don't fully like. I grew up like newspapers were fading out. So like, to wait for that to hit, and like for people to like pick and choose which newspaper to like get their news from is just like a crazy thing. Like, some people just wouldn't know things happen. We know everything happens in a second, An actor dies, 7 news outlets already have it out with like an obituary written. And
TMZ has it written before they actually die.
And the next day, somebody had to wait. Like, I remember my dad telling me, like, had to wait for the baseball scores the next day, like, to look at the paper to see who like won. I'm like, what? What space? Like, this? We don't have technology. Like, it's crazy to me. So like, I find that really intriguing of like a newspaper, because you have one shot. Like, you can't just put it, because if one doesn't grab you by like the first line or the title, you're just going to skip over it if it's on the wrong page. Like, there's so many things. So I think that's really fascinating about this massive thing.
And I just kind of piggyback off that. I just really enjoyed like that throwback to the analog office with like the constant clacking of the typewriter and the ringing of like the stationary phones. I just love the sound of when they, listen to the conversation on the other end of the phone. And then just the idea that like, writing things down and looking for something to write with, just little things like that just really, I think, captured that time period really well. And it's just fun to watch. It's like, cause I'm old enough to remember when those things still kind of existed. So it just kind of like a comfort thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely adds to the, there's a kinetic energy.
Yeah.
That's running through the office.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with all that noise going on, with the tight quarters and things like that, it adds this level of intensity almost.
Yeah. And intimacy, like just everybody's kind of like, you have that team atmosphere where everybody's kind of just, doing what they can to help.
Two tangential little things I have from this watch that don't fit in when we throw them in. We mentioned the score by David Shire. He also did the score for Zodiac, and I never put those two together until this watch and like noticed the score, and I was like, this sounds familiar. It's because Zodiac and this have very similar energy score wise, and I never put that together, and that's also why I like both a lot. I think it's just like that same sort of dread that exists in both movies. And then what's the other thing I was going to bring up? I just lost it. Oh, man. That sucks. I was going to share something else.
One minor thing I will add, I think this is some of the greatest use of split diopter shots I've ever seen in a movie. They were just so clean. Like there are certain ones like I didn't even realize, because usually like those could be really sloppy. Usually like everything's faded except for like or blurry except for one thing and out of focus. But the way they like framed them, it was so seamless. A lot of the scenes you didn't even realize that you were seeing like two people in focus in different positions. So I thought that was really, really well done and really interesting. And I don't know if you guys want to talk about the ending now or not, but I love the ending. I think it's one of the all-time great endings. And like I said, they don't end like you don't get like, oh, they got Nixon here.
You don't get like the shot of him resigning.
Yeah. It's very simple. It's like one of the all-time great, show don't tell endings where the TV's on in the office and Nixon's getting inaugurated, and they slowly, fade away from that and zoom in on the two of them just working on their typewriters, and the sound of that typewriter drowns him out. I hate the fact. I really wish they didn't have like the epilogue explain everything that happened, because I feel like that is just such a perfect ending, because we all know they get them, but it's just such a perfect ending to focus on them doing the work.
Well, what I'd actually like to point out about that is I think that it's a very effective ending, because you see how minimal time and punishment that they all actually get when it's typed out, and it sinks in a lot deeper.
I think what's successful in a movie that is very in the same similar vein of this movie, takes its ending as Spotlight with the phones ringing at the end. There's no one going in handcuffs. There's no one like locked away. There's no story playing on the news reporter. It is just ending with the sound of those phones ringing it drowns out, because that's how many people are actually calling, which is just crazy. So this is like one of those perfect examples. Just seeing the typewriter, just seeing him go, and like you don't need to see Nixon resigning. You don't need any of that. This is what's happening. I think it's a brilliant ending. I'm 100% with you. Like, because I think this movie kind of makes me realize like how easy it is to screw up an ending. Like, by either over talking or over telling, or just putting something that doesn't need, like, that you think it's cool, or you just screw up where you close your movie. They're like, it just makes perfect sense. Anything else on this movie before we give it a score? Did Maddie also give it a score?
She did. She has scores for all these. She said for All the President's Men, super thrilling, super well done. She didn't know a lot about Watergate, but this shows like how much like work went into exposing it. She gave it 4.
And I'll just say before we get one last thing, you touched us a little bit, Cody, but I love the fact that this shows like where cynicism in American politics came from. Because now, you see something on the news, and it doesn't matter who it is, president, doesn't matter. Like, oh yeah, they're dirty. There's something going on there, and that's this story is why we have that mindset. Because what baffles me is like they're not. The thing that holds them up is they can't comprehend the fact that it goes so high, and every time they get a step higher, they're shocked. Like, oh my god, it goes that high, and then it goes higher, and they're not able to wrap their minds around it. Just think like even after like Kennedy and Vietnam and everything, there's still that belief in the American system that we could trust it, and just to see how that got completely obliterated is pretty interesting.
Well, you think like bring on that. You think about like this topic of like how many people lost trust that day, like that this broke, because like if the leader of the free world did this, what is your senator doing? What's your House of Representatives? What's your governor? What's your police? Like it trickles so far down that you're like, if he can do it, anyone can do it. Like, and it's just like the power trip that, you know, he was on at the, you know, like not saying I'm not saying anything about his presidency, but like, if you look into it, like he could have went on without doing this and everything would have been fine, but he just
arguably may have been considered one of the best presidents.
Yeah.
They make that statement. They're like, he was winning. Like,
yeah,
he didn't have to do this.
It's the paranoia of just not knowing if you were going to, and just to try to shut the door. It's kind of crazy.
Another thing that you mentioned the Post, and I think if you've never done it, the Post, the Spielberg movie.
Yeah.
If you've never done this, I haven't. I've done one of, and then the other. I've never done them all back to back. But I think a really interesting triple feature would be to do the Post, Into All the President's Men, into Frost Nixon. I think that'd be a really cool arc to follow.
Or All the President's Men into Frost Nixon, and you can just
the Post is good.
You can just sleep during the Post. I'm sorry, I would rather watch paint dry than the Post. That movie is so boring.
The ending of the Post is almost identical to the opening of All the President's Men, and it's so cool.
Here's the interesting thing. The Post shows that if you don't have the right things, you can make a boring movie. Like, this movie could have been the Post. This movie could very well be the Post. It's just, no, stop. We have it. We have All the President's Men. We don't need Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks doing the Post. It's weird. What are we talking about? I remember the poster even being boring. Oh,
the poster of the Post?
Oh, it's so bad. So bad. Oh, that movie's a slog. Where you get scores. I'm at 5. I moved it back up. I am just so I've watched it 3 times now. It's went up and went down, and I think it's pretty slam dunk in. Like, I think the reason I dropped it down is because I was like trying to be a letterbox, snob. But I think it's no shot at the 2 people on here, even though you're snobs. I think it's a brilliant movie. I think it's a brilliant movie, and I think of that category, the category that's in, I think it's like, it's hard to beat it. It's hard to beat this kind of movie. I love Spotlight, dude. I really love Spotlight. I just think like that this one has like 2 characters. The other one's just like full of characters and like has great like intrigue, and that stuff's great. That subject matter is beyond crazier than Watergate for me. Like just what they unpack in that. So we'll go to Koho, which we already know, but you can tell it again.
4.5. I love it. I think it's really well done. I think I'm a bit of a Redford fan in the making. So.
Oh, look over. Watch out, Jimmy.
He won't be.
Who's the other one?
Al Pacino's my number 1. He's my favorite.
Oh, no.
Al Pacino's my favorite actor.
Yeah, that's Kirk. So find another one.
No. Yeah, I'm not the Al Pacino guy. Kirk is the Al Pacino guy. But Al Pacino's my favorite actor. I'm the Jimmy Stewart guy, though. So there you go.
Oh, I think there's a competition for that one.
Yeah, there is. I'm gonna beat the shit out of Boatwood for it.
I would pay.
That's my actor.
That pay-per-view, I would pay good money for it. If you 2 want to make some bets, put some gloves on.
He just gets up, just like bloody nose.
I just saw we should have had a boxing.
Cary Grant. I said Cary Grant, not just. Why'd you punch me, Kirk?
Yeah, I give 4 stars. I like Rockford. I'm more of a Hoffman guy, and they're both great in it. Like, it's a great supporting cast. These movies usually don't appeal to me that much, but like I said, this one just is kind of a perfect storm of everything these new movies need to be. So yeah, I get a 4.
Bar.
4.5. 4.5. It's not something that I'm going to go back to as often as other movies that I love, but I cannot deny that in terms of like how well it's made, it's fantastic. And also Jane Alexander, fantastic.
Doing it again. Son of a bitch.
I just want on record, if Barr would have fallen asleep during this movie, it would have been.
Oh my God, that's not how it happened.
I believe it did. All right, this one's going to be interesting. I'm kind of glad that Maddie isn't here for this one because I don't know how it's going to fully go. But Finding Nemo is the next one. Me and Kirk kind of had a conversation prior to this call. Is like, it's so hard putting animation, like, and that sounds like I'm holding the goalpost. I'm saying it can't be what it is. Like animation versus like normal movies, which sounds like such a shitty topic. Like, does this cross the barrier of even top animation, which I think is an interesting conversation. But I'm interested to see. I'm in love. This is my favorite Pixar movie, so there's like no like hiding my opinion on this one. It wasn't, but I became a father, so like this movie is like it connects a lot of dots that wasn't there when I was watching it 7 times a week, like in like science class in 6th grade. My teacher showed this movie way too fucking much. Wasn't complaining though. Yeah, I don't know because I know how Koho feels. I'm interested to see like Kirk and Barr's take on it. But when we put the lens of 100 greatest films, Finding Nemo, any issue with it being in the list?
As the only one on this call that doesn't have a kid.
Well, yeah, you have. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, didn't want to. Yeah, you're
good. That may hinder my appreciation for this movie. It doesn't take away my appreciation for this movie. It is one of the better Pixar films. It's not necessarily my favorite of the Pixar films. The first half of this movie, I think, is good, but like once you get to, I think it was like the jellyfish, like in the trench, like that's when the movie really starts to pick up steam for me, for some reason, because the connection between Dory and Marlin. Like, I think that's when it kind of like really finally snaps into place for me. The funny thing about this movie is that I think it's actually really similar to another movie that we're going to talk about on this episode. And the best elements of both of them really carry this film, which is the adventure itself. And how grand it is. Like the fact that it's the fucking ocean. It is this giant epic thing, and it's able to capture the size and the scope of the ocean incredibly well. That's the thing that impresses me most about this movie, is the world that it builds. It's a really good movie that's got good emotional moments to it.
Go ahead.
So Finding Nemo is my favorite animated movie of all time. I love Finding Nemo. When I was a kid, I loved it because shiny fish that are funny. And as I grow up more and more,
the more you grow up more and more,
shiny fish that are funny. I don't know. No, but growing up more and more, the movie gives more and more to me every watch. And I I think like Morrison, I do watch it a lot. The adventure itself is great, but I think what Andrew Stanton does so well with this movie and like creating the world that they live in, like Mark said, is how hopeless and helpless this, like how futile this mission is. This goal is to cross the large, not just an ocean, the largest ocean on Earth, which has no like road maps or directions. All they have is words on a goggle to tell you where you need to go to get a clue, and you have no idea what direction you need to go to start that adventure. And just, but the determination and the passion in Marlon, where it's stupid to do this, but he has no choice. This is all he has, and this is all he has left, and this is the only person that matters to him, and it's his job to keep him safe, and that he drops everything to go find his son is powerful. And it works for me every watch. I love the different stops along the way. The one I've always loved the most is the anglerfish. That's always been the one that's fucked with me since I was a kid, and also just every time I grow up, keep watching it, still freaks me out in different ways. I hate dark black ocean with something in it. That's like my biggest ick. The anglerfish is the most terrifying thing that could ever exist to me.
That's not ick anymore.
That's fair. Sorry. It's the most terrifying thing in the movie for me is the anglerfish. But I love every element of the movie. And I think the part that breaks me every time, and I'll leave it at that and give it up to everyone else, but the part that breaks me every time is when Dory and Marlon are there and she's like, wait, stop, I can't. Don't leave me again. Because when we're like, don't leave me because I don't remember anything when I'm not with you. Like I remember things better with you. And just like how she's trying to remember the address is like, I remember it's there. I know. And when I look at you, I'm home. And that scene always just punches me in the stomach. I love that scene.
Yeah. Like you said, it's top 100 movies of all time, right? And we had that conversation about this off air. Like, Del Toro has that thing about animation not just being a children's medium, and I agree with that. But the fact of the matter is that it's used almost exclusively as a children's medium. And I'm not going to sit here and say that like adults can't appreciate kids' movies or animated movies, or can't enjoy them, can't get something from them. But if we're talking the top 100 movies ever, top 20 if you put it on your list, I think I just feel like it's very limited. I think you watch this, and I rewatch this, and I this is the right time frame of Pixar movies where I watched this a million times with my kids when they were little. So I've seen it a million times, and I've seen it through their eyes and the appreciation they have for it. But I do think it's a kids movie. I think that out of all, especially the early Pixar movies, I think this is like the most like kid-centric movie. And that doesn't make it bad. I just think there's limitations on it because of that. And I think like, there are things that can be emotionally impactful, like Koho said, but I just think there's limitations. I think it looks great. I think the animation, this is probably the best early Pixar animation. All that ocean stuff is fantastic. But again, like I said, it's top 100 movies of all time. I just don't know if this one, makes the cut or not.
Yeah, there's a few animated movies that I would put above it when it comes to like greatest movies ever made. I'm not going to name them just in case if they do come up later. But if we were talking top 50 animated films ever made, I'd definitely consider it.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting because I think what old Pixar did really well that they've definitely gone away from is besides there's a villain, which there wasn't really a villain in this one. The ocean's kind of the villain, but
the anglerfish,
Darla, right? Is that the girl?
Darla, yeah,
Darla.
Yeah. I think the issue is like what they used to do was able to tie in the appearance with the kids, with like the humor and like the stories and like the jokes. Like there was definitely like those few jokes that are like, oh, the kid just blank stares while the parents like trying to hold it together because that shit hits, I think there's a lot to like about this. The one thing I will say is what you said is absolutely correct. Like, and I think we're learning this with a certain superhero that has now gotten 2 like animated like stories that it's less kid involvement as much. They're jumping grades a little bit. I would say the Spider-Man, the Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse are tackling that older crowd a little bit more than where they would have prior. There's still definitely kid elements of it, but with this one, when I rewatched it because it's one of those movies I really like. There's a lot of kid stuff. There's a ton of kid stuff that is like, but I also have like there are certain movies that when I think of animation, is it if we're just going off style, because that's what like Sight and Sound I believe does. Like a movie could look absolutely gorgeous or whatever and beautiful, and they would hold it in high regard. I think what they're able to do and achieve in this movie, I think, is really cool. I love the score and I love the stuff. I think like arguably like the saddest opening to a Pixar movie. Like I know Up gets that credit, but like this movie, he watches his wife and 400 children die. Like, and there's one left. Like that's a rough one. That's a rough debate. So check out FanZone. They just debated that topic. But it's a great debate. But yeah, I don't know. This one's a tough one. But here's the thing: if I'm sitting here and I'm going, if this is the list we're getting, this is the list we're at, I'd say there's better. This is better than some of the stuff that has come already on this list. So, like at that point in time, like this list we got it. I'm cool with seeing it here. I'm just more curious if the gold standard of animation is later because I believe this is good. It's my favorite Pixar, but I believe there are stuff that is hand drawn. That's all I'll say are better than this film. That's on my note. Okay. Anything we want to take apart any of the scenes? I'm having fish tonight. I think it's one of the most quotable Pixar movies because I quote the butt line. Like I think I said that all growing up. You made me ink.
Oh, that's the one I was about to say.
Yeah. If we're being real, the movie doesn't make any sense at all. Like at all. Like there are 0 sense in this entire thing.
Yeah, some of those fish can't live in that kind of environment.
Sydney. None of these fucking fish know where Sydney is. Not a clue. Like you can try to sell me on the things, and we never feel the journey because like, oh look, Sydney, we're here. We hopped in a whale's mouth. Like the things that happen, like it's goofy, it's silly, but like that's when I was like, that's not how the ocean works at all. Like but it's interesting. I think it's a fun. I wish Pixar would get back to these kind of movies, unlike my dad or mom. Really sucked as parents, and now I have trauma, which is fine. We all do, but I don't need to go to the therapy session.
15 cartoons about it.
I don't need to see a Pixar movie to get to therapy. I go see a doctor. Can I go see back to a monster shows up and destroys something that's not?
I want a Bob-back film.
Yeah, can I do that? Look at watching the Squid and the Whale and the stuff. My parents got divorced. Like crying in the theater. Even though I like Encanto, holy shit, like that movie. Yeah. But any part we want to talk about? Being
I want to talk about the voice acting. I think Albert Brooks does a phenomenal job with this role. Like he really grounds this character, even though he's a fucking fish. His delivery
in a later movie that we'll talk about.
I was going to say this is the best Albert Brooks movie we're going to talk about tonight.
It is.
I don't like Ellen. I want that on the record. I don't. I've never cared about her. Like, I think she does fine with the character.
As Dory or as a person?
Oh, I don't care about her personal life. I'm talking about as Dory.
Okay, because I think she's a terrible human, but also like.
Well, I don't know what. I know there's been like backlash. I don't get into any of that stuff. But if I'm going through the art, I don't care. Like, she drains. She has great voice lines, but this is something just over time has worn on me more and more is her voice. Like, I can't wait for 10 years to pass by and then people listen to Aquafina. I think they're going to lose their ever loving mind. This is similar. Like, Ellen's voice has gotten worse over a time than that because like I get it. Like, this character actually has some depth to it, but that one scene does help it. But it's also just like treated by dialogue and by her inflection and stuff is just a dumbass. And the character's not really dumbass. The dumbass, she's actually dealing with some shit like that no one will fathom around her. You know what I mean?
No, I was like, I don't know if it's her fault as in her performance, but like rewatching the movie, I realized she's the character that's there to make 4-year-olds laugh. Like, that's her job.
Yes, she's the mayor.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, like she does that. The moment Koho talked about is absolutely correct, but like she's that like, haha, funny words character that I really found annoying this watch.
Yeah,
I don't find her annoying, but I get it. I can see it. I think she's great in the story. I think the Tank Gang is so good. Yeah. Every casting there is A+. I think Willem Dafoe crushes quietly in this movie. Just absolutely
in this.
Yeah, he's
the pufferfish.
Oh, yeah.
He needs to voice everything. I think Brad Garrett is like one of the best voices in Patrick Warburton was for like so many.
For the 2000s.
He needs to join the same realms. His voice, it kills me. It's just
Brad Garrett's great in every Pixar performance he does. He's amazing in all of them. So
yeah. I always just hear him yell into Raymond, so like that's just something I can't ever get past. But I will.
I just hear him saying Jimmy John's.
Jimmy John's is rough.
I also love Allison Janney as the starfish. She's great as Peach. I think she has.
Hi, I'm Flo. Don't talk to her. She's nuts. Like that stuff kills me. Like it's still to this day. Like it's like.
I don't think you couldn't have gotten a better voice actor for the fish that's just obsessed with bubbles. Like he was just perfect.
Yeah.
I think that they have such a great chemistry, and like the way that they all interact with Nemo as soon as he gets there, and how each of them like relate to him. Like when he first gets there, and they're like, "Where are you from, kid?" And they're like from. And he's like, "Well, I'm from Bob's Fish Mart. Mail order, eBay." Like the way they all just like introduce themselves based on where they come from. He's like the ocean. And he's just like, ah! Like, get it away from me, clean this motherfucker. Like,
I think it's crazy, but like, I think they missed a golden opportunity of like Finding Dory is a trash, like garbage film. Like, I hate that movie. It's bad. But I think that they missed like a golden opportunity with the Tank Gang, like getting them there or like the life within the tank. Like, I could have stayed the whole movie in the tank.
Oh yeah,
they have literally some of the best voice actors like in there and just talking about different things that go on. Like when they're talking about the work on the dentist, we're like, oh yeah, he's got a bad one today. Like all this stuff.
I love the first time they do that where it's like Gator Gluten Drill. He's been favoring that one lately.
Yeah,
it's a cave flex. Just
and then Nigel
is great.
Then Nigel comes in and he's like, "What are they using?" Like, oh, he's been favoring that one lately.
Right, like and the way they all interact and have that. Yes. Which Jeffrey Rush as Nigel the Pelican aces. I
might be my favorite of all the voice performances.
But I love like the initiation too, like that whole scene and like how like we give him a proper reception and stuff. Just I use that a lot. Like the welcome, brother shark bait. It's just excellent. That movie, like the tank stuff, I think is all amazing.
I want a movie about them surviving in the ocean after they make their escape.
Yeah, they did. It's the post-credit scene of Finding Dory, and it's the only scene that gives you a mild chuckle.
Yeah, can you imagine them trying to them getting out of the bags and like learning to adapt and like that could have worked Fuck Pixar.
Oh yeah, it's just I love the scene too where they actually get out and they roll out in the harbor. They're sitting there, they're like, "We did it." Now what? And they're all just stuck in the back.
That's also the old school, like after the credit Pixar like moments. Like those were great. Okay, we got the scores. I'm guessing Maddie was very high on this movie.
Genuinely a classic. While this isn't my favorite animated film of all time, I assure you I can quote it beginning to end. The animation is incredible. The vast amount of detail involved, i.e. the particles floating in the ocean, the scales and color gradients of the fish, the texture, etc. I could go on and on. They took their time with this movie, and it shows. No shortcuts were had. Aside from looks, the actors are phenomenal. The humor throughout is great, not only entertaining for kids, but still funny for adults. The adventures of this poor widowed clownfish going on a blue tang to find his short-term memories with a short-term memory blue tang to find his seemingly dead son in a dental office. Oh my God, it's all too much. It's a movie that flies by. I think everyone should have to experience this. Experience it at least once. 5 out of 5.
What's the number one Pixar? Or number one animated?
I think it's Monsters Inc. I think it's Monsters Inc. for her. Yeah.
Is she on Letterboxd, Koho?
She is. Her letterbox is Maddie Bale, BAHL.
You can just drop the link in the chat.
I will. You can all look at her letterbox takes.
Gosh, we were supposed to have this therapy session tonight. Talk about how bad you are.
She's genuinely upset she couldn't be here.
All right, I'm no sure. It's a 5 for me. Like I think it is great. I think it is great. Is it best of all time? No, but this is a personal favorite of mine, and I will pop it on. And I have kids at different ages, and I like how they take it differently than that. Like it's just a great film. All right, we'll give it to the Debbie Downers. Bar, what's your rating?
It's a very good film. It's a 4.
Kirk?
Yeah, I don't know if I sounded too harsh on it or not, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I have it at 3.5.
I just love poking the bear. It's my favorite thing to do.
We'll get there. Trust me, we'll get to it.
Oh yeah. Shit.
Next up, I'm a Dapper Dan man. Mama said you got hit by a train.
You ain't bona fide.
You ain't bona fide. We thought you was a toad. Talk about one of the most quoted movies of all time for me. For a director group that doesn't always hit for me, they're very popular in this community. I don't know how many more films are on the list of this, but we are going with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Did you know this is based on the Odyssey? Isn't that what everybody says? What is it?
I thought this was Ulysses.
Dang. Sorry, gotcha. Listen, there is no funnier scene in any movie for me than when what's the actor's name? Oh crap.
Tim Blake Nelson?
Tim Blake Nelson goes down and gets baptized and then walks up and says, all my sins have been forgiven. Even that Piggly Wiggly I knocked over in the answer. I thought you said you didn't do that. Well, that's been forgiven too.
That's been forgiven too.
I have laughed so hard so many times. It is one of my favorite quoted lines ever. Besides the governor is like, if your mother, good thing your mother died in labor, because if she just seen you, she died ashamed or whatever. Like, their dialogue in this just works on so many levels. The cast, the characters that they have, like to see George Clooney in this role too, like I'm not saying he can't be goofy, but he is full on slapstick in this movie, like the stuff he shows up on. I'm really curious about Kirk and Bar's take. I know Koho will never miss what happens to, what did he say he died of? But what is your guys' take on this? I'm guessing everybody's seen this movie prior. Like, yeah. So
it's weird because I like the Coens. I love them. They're kind of hit and miss for me. I usually do not like their comedies. Those are like my least favorite of their movies. And I don't like George Clooney in comedic roles. Like comedies or Coen comedies with George Clooney are usually poison for me. But this movie really works. Like I don't know what it is that's different this one, but I think it's great. I think he's great in it. I think he just encapsulates his character so well. And all three of them are really great. The Deacon cinematography is just that like sepia tone throughout the movie is so good. It's hilarious. The music's really good. Obviously, we talk about the music, but the music is just really fantastic. And again, this is like Finding Nemo that I think this bar was referring to. You have like little scene, you go from scene to scene and situation to situation, but like John Goodman is really good in it, his small role. I love Charles Durnan in this, basically playing the same character he plays in the Muppet movie. But
if Doc Hopper became the governor of Mississippi.
But he's really good. So yeah, I think it's just a really all around like really fun movie to watch. This is top 3 Coens for me.
Koho, you go first.
I love this one. I love the Coens. Shock and surprise, my favorite directors of all time. I love the movies they make, and I think that their comedies are really fun. I love the energy that they have. I think now that we've seen them individually, we know that Ethan's the more comedy centric guy, and so this is definitely one of the ones where I think Ethan took point, and I think they are I think it's very funny. I love George Clooney in Coen Brother comedies, so that's opposite of you. I think he's so fun when he's animated and like over the top in them, and he's so good in this one. I think this is the best he is in a Coen Brothers comedy, as he just kind of gets to play into the George Clooney persona, but like a joke of it. I love Tim Blake Nelson in this one. I think maybe the most of the bunch. I think he's so just like he's just so honestly just like such a kind-hearted person, but just like he's just not the forward thinker of the group, and he doesn't have a personality of his own. He just kind of adopts onto either George Clooney or he adopts onto John Turturro.
The two times that like, well, who made you leader? And then like, well, I vote for myself. I vote for myself, and then it's up to him, and it's so funny.
And he just doesn't answer, and something happens, and we move on. I love it. I love him in it. But yeah, I also love, like everyone says, the music. I love that they just let T-Bone Burnett go off. They're just like, go find a whole put it together to make a story, and it rules. So I love this one. I think that like just the different character interactions and the amazing cast of characters that the Coens bring together out of just all their friends basically coming to do bit parts is so good. So I love O'Brien.
Yeah, this is the movie that I was alluding to earlier when it comes to Finding Nemo and how kind of similar they are. Because there's the big grand adventure where they go to do the things that they need to do, and they meet these cast of characters along their way and their interactions with them. And as much as I think Tim Blake Nelson's character's name is Delmar. He and Dory are both kind of like the ones that are out to lunch, but I think Delmar is just the better written character. They're just the cinematography is just absolutely stunning. I love it so much. All of the bit players do their part. Even the guy that Everett's wife is about to marry, like Vernon, I think his name is. Like the fight in the Woolworths, it's so perfect. This is my favorite George Clooney performance of all time, and I think that he is a very good actor, like in things like Michael Clayton and like et cetera, et cetera. But this is like my favorite of his performances. Every time he wakes up and it's just like, my hair. It's so fucking great. The little things like, damn, we're in a tight spot. And you boys, Smithy is like stuff like that. It's just like his delivery is so fucking perfect. Yeah, and then you get like the little things like when I can't remember his character's name. He's supposed to be Robert Johnson, essentially, the guitar player. Mm-hmm. When he's talking about the devil, and then like you see him walk out at like when they're getting the ring at the cabin. Yeah. And like just like the visualization of him and like the glasses, they're so fucking perfect. Yeah, it's like a lot of things that just tie and weave together so perfectly. Yeah, it's one of my all-time favorite films. I'm one of the reasons that it's got this spot on this list, I would say.
Yeah, you were definitely one that would put it very high. What's the George Nelson?
George Nelson on top of the world.
I love the ending with him too, where they're dragging him away. He's like, George Nelson, they're gonna take all the power out of Mississippi. He's like laughing while he dragged him away.
Light up like a firework.
He's so good.
Yeah.
And the button on it with Tim McDonald, where he's like, seems like George is doing okay.
When they're all sitting there and like, do not seek the treasure. Yeah. Do not, like, they're just like mouthing inside the
we
thing.
Thought you was
just insane. Like, I will say, like, the music, of course, in this is really, really good. Like, I think, like, Alison Krauss, I think it is, that does like the.
She's one of
come down to the river to pray. Like that whole thing is like that whole sequence of like to gorgeous. The river to pray. And it's just like everybody's like walking. It's just a cool shot. I know you guys talked about it, but like John Goodman when he smacks those two with that 2x4, just like beats the shit out of him. He's such a like everybody's like over the top.
He catches the flag.
Yeah. Everybody's so over the top in it, but it's like the perfect balance of over the top. Like you don't walk through and you're like, oh my God, the person. No, it's like they all like work. They all have a limit and they're all hitting it, but they're not exceeding it where it's becoming annoying, which I think is very important, especially in a comedy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's my thing with Clooney. Like, I think usually when Clooney does comedy, it's such like a put on performance. Where I think like it's a lot more natural. Like he's actually like playing a character here. Is what makes a difference.
Well, I think the thing that helps is the fact that this character is like putting on this air of sophistication and knowledge by using big words and alliterations and things like that. But he's just as dumb as a brick as all the other ones.
It's a really great dynamic when you have like a crew where everybody's dumb, but they're all dumb in a different way.
Oh yeah,
They're just something about that's just really great.
It's like when he's like, take a. I don't know where different. Anything else? And dozen hairnets. Just like
and even in that scene, the Coens use repetition so well in their movies, and especially in this, where he's like, I'm not Dapper Dan. I won't pop. I'm a Dapper Dan man. And the way like, they keep bringing Dapper Dan back into it, or like you guys said, was like, dang, we're in a tight spot. And the way that they bring that back throughout that run is just it's
you
so
want some gopher?
It's so good.
Oh.
I will say the one scene that I forgot about that I watched and I went, holy shit, was the George Nelson scene with the cows. I was like, whoa, wait a fucking minute. That's nuts.
Yeah, like the blind guy at the radio stations where they don't let black guys sing. It's like, where are you? You can just lie to his face like he had no clue. Like, they give me $10 for singing a can down there. Like just like the singing a can. Like it just all the little bit parts work really well. I think this is one because I think comedy is so subjective. Like comedy is the hardest thing to find a group of people that all agree is funny. Because I can bring up each one of us could pick 10 comedies to have an overlap and people all agree. I think it would be hard, because there are people that will like we've already had it, but Monty Python and the Holy Grail, people will lose their absolute mind laughing at that. You have me and Kirk and like, is it over? Like, I really don't want to get out of this room. So I think for this one to have so many people still like I've talked to people Koho's age, Bar's age. Kirk doesn't like hate the movie. Like I didn't say you didn't hate it, but like you like the movie. So like all those generations are equaling where this comedy just works and how they present it. So, and it's really hard when you present such dumb characters because that can weigh on a lot of people. And everybody's like, nope, dumb characters work. Like the governor or whatever, is he governor in the movie? Is he that's what he's running for?
Pappy O'Daniel.
Pappy O'Daniel is like one of the funniest, like just one-liners, but like him and his son. Oh, I die every time. That line is, "If your mother was still alive, she'd have died of shame." It's such a punch to the face line.
It's so aggressive too, because it's off the tail of like honestly a really good suggestion. Where he's like, "Oh, you want to schmooze up the individual people, do some politicking?" It's like, you fucking idiot! Why would I politic? I'm broadcasting to the masses. It's like, oh my god. That's great.
So good. So good. Okay, I think we get star ratings. This is by far the one we've quoted to death at this point, but I can't do this movie without quoting it.
Well, that ain't my rating.
And Holly Hunter too,
yeah.
Me?
Best Holly Hunter movie we watched tonight.
Yeah.
And stay out of awards.
You ain't bona fide.
This is a perfect movie. 5 stars.
Koho.
I give it 5. The person I was surprised liked it was Maddie. Cohens are like a slow drip feed for her because we're not sure what she'll like or what she won't like it though. She said, "Not even gonna lie, I was skeptical about this one. I wasn't sure I was going to like it, and it might have ended up being one of my favorite watches of the week. It's full of adventure, twists, turns, dry humor, dark humor, some absolutely gorgeous scenes. I can't even imagine getting to make this movie. I bet it was amazing. Some aspects of the movie felt predictable, but there were also enough twists to shake that up for me, like when they had been pardoned by the mayor and then they get to the cabin and the sheriff and all that." She said, "So even the predictability aspect isn't too much for me. 4 out of 5.
Challenge. Governor.
Yep.
Challenge lost. Okay. Kirk.
Yeah, I really like it. Like I said, top tier cones for me. I'm fine with it being on the list. I give it this is a 4-star for me.
There you go. If I did do a list, I'm 5 stars. Sorry. I didn't say my rating. If I created a list for this, which I did not, this next movie would probably be this high or higher because of me. We are going with Doubt. Doubt is one of those movies that I've talked to multiple people from. I've also sat on couches where I just watch the people and don't watch the movie because I think this movie has such gripping dialogue, doubt, some would say, in what happens and what doesn't. I will credit Kaleb Koho for suggesting this movie to me. I watched it at the end of the night one time, and that was the worst mistake of my life because I just went on a rabbit hole of talking to myself in the dark about, did he do it? Did he not do it? What the fuck? Why does he put that much sugar in a tea with that little amount of liquid? I have so many questions from it. So, bro, you have diabetes. I'm going to tell you right now. You have diabetes.
He keeps the sugar under his fingernails.
The cast of characters. Amy Adams, Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I'm about to say Peter for some reason. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking. Outstanding. Those 3 and Viola Davis. One scene wonder just pops in, just kills it where it is. Basically, this movie does such an interesting job of tiptoeing around the subject matter without basically it's calling out. Everybody knows about what it is, but they do such a line of tying it, so that I think helps with the doubt that is in this thing. He brings up things, she questions him on it, he gets defensive, which helps the doubt carry on. I just think it's absolutely a masterclass in acting. I really do. This is where you this is how I could imagine watching this and be like, I want to be an actor. This is a masterclass in all those people performing. This is I think Amy Adams gets some slack. She's a really good actress. Everybody's But I've heard like not to top tier. I think she is a top tier actress. I think her choices in movies kind of suck at times, but like this is one of those showcases of like how great of an actress she truly is, because she plays that middle woman so well in between both of these like larger than life characters, basically. So I'm interested. I know Kirk. I think I made watch this for the first time on my top 100. Bowman probably made Koho watch it too, or suggested it to Koho.
It was the 1-2 punch of Boat and you within a similar frame.
Yeah. So, and Bar, you saw it prior?
I knew the play before I even saw the movie.
True. That makes sense.
I have a copy of the script.
Yeah, I mean, the play. This is movie. We don't care about the curtains and the stage. We don't.
It's essentially the same script.
I saw a local New Jersey production where the guy was better than.
I played Father Flynn.
That's what I was about to say.
It's getting revived this year, isn't it?
Yes, it is. With Liev Schreiber.
Yeah. That's on. I'm. There's an outside chance I might go see that.
Nice. Yeah. So it's probably John Patrick Shanley's best script, because there is the fact that they build up Meryl Streep's character with some of these little things, like she doesn't know who keeps opening her window, like kind of leads you to doubt that like even like she could be like, starting to fade a little bit. And things like, why didn't you call the pastor? I called the nun. Like little moments like that, like make you start to believe that like she's so set in her ways that she refuses to divulge from anything, even if like the rules are set in front of her and like things are spelled out. But then on this most recent rewatch, during that like fight scene, first of all, I think Philip Seymour Hoffman's doing a brilliant job, because I think that this is just me assuming. I think that like half of the scenes he's acting as if he did do it, and half of the scenes as if he didn't do it, to actually like create that swirling doubt. On this rewatch, and I don't know if I just like misheard it, but I also saw it in the closed captioning. He said he slips up at one point, and he says, "After I gave him the altar wine," and I'm like, did I mishear that? Or like, but even like little things like that made me start to doubt everything. I can't. I feel like I get a different opinion every time I either like see this movie or read the play, because I'm a pretentious hack. But yeah, it's John Patrick Shanley's best writing out of everything that he's ever made, in my opinion, and it's just so well made. And of course, the acting is phenomenal. Meryl Streep's voice in this, I don't know, it could have gotten really bad real quick with what the accent that she was doing, but she carries it through like all the way. And her little facial expressions, like there are moments just like in her face, you can see like literally like everything happening in there. It's
I will say across the board, all three of them top tier Boston accent acting. I think all of them just hit like that sweet spot where it's there and they're not overdoing it. And I know there are movies we'll probably talk about on this list that we'll be able to say that about, but this one definitely top tier acting.
Yeah. I do agree with you though. I think they do play a part in both of it. So I think that's what's really interesting. Because he gets so defensive. So when you get that defensive, you are like, what are you trying to hide? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But Koho, Kirk, go ahead.
Yeah, I love this movie. Like you said, I watched it first time for your top 100. One of my favorite things about this was I went in, I knew nothing about it other than like there was some kind of scandal with the priest, and I didn't know anything about the characters or anything. So you go in and you see Meryl Streep's character, and she's like the hardcore old school fundamentalist. And Amy Adams is like the younger, like new ideas, fresh ideas, open-minded one. So instantly, like, okay, Meryl Streep's going to be the villain. She's going to be the one covering it up. She's going to be the one, trying to protect, the bad guys. And Amy Adams is going to be the one that's like fighting the uphill battle, David versus Goliath, trying to bring this to light. And then it's not that. And I think right there, you get more depth and more nuance than 99% of the movies that cover this kind of topic, because usually like it's what I said is the situation, but then it goes a step further where you start to question, you start to doubt Meryl Streep's motivation as to why she's so bent on catching this person and on him being guilty, and what's behind this, like, is there really enough evidence, or does she have just some vendetta or grudge against him or somebody else that she's taking out on him? They reference something that happens with another priest previously that may play a part. So there's just so many, it just subverts expectations on every level. And, there's no one to root for. There's no one to like really be like, oh yeah, this is definitely the person that I want to see, win, so to speak, at the end of the day. And I just love the ambiguity of it all. I don't know, like, honestly, like, I've never walked away from this movie like, oh yeah, he definitely did it or he definitely didn't. I think it does such a good job. He did something, obviously. And I love the fact that it ends with him essentially admitting guilt of something. She catches him in something. But they establish earlier in the movie that he'll lie for more noble reasons, where he lied at the beginning to protect the kid. And so is he doing that again? Is that why he's keeping his mouth shut and not admitting to something but still giving in? So there's just so many questions, and like you said, you just walk away thinking about it, and that's the kind of movies I love. And of course the three performances are just mind-blowing.
Yeah, I think Philip Seymour Hoffman's amazing in this. The first time I watched it, I was like convinced he was guilty, and like this watch now, I don't think he might be, like, of what she's saying anyway. So it's weird. It's weird the way you can watch this movie and take something away almost every time, as being something different. I think Viola Davis is really great, in her very limited small role, but I think she like really packs a punch. When she like yells at Streep out in the street and basically be like, he just has to make it to me. And just basically just like, and it's like, just let him be. And like getting after her. And it's like the pain that's in that scene is amazing. So I also really love Amy Adams in this, like, a lot. I like Cody. I've heard that like people say maybe she's having it up. Amy Adams isn't always just the greatest, but like I think she's a great actress. I think she's really great. So.
One thing that they do different from the play, that I think really enhances the movie, is that in the play it's just the four characters. It's just the three main characters and Viola Davis's character. They're the only ones that show up. And getting the scenes with the other nuns shows that compassionate side of Meryl Streep's character. And it makes you connect with her more because of that, especially with the one nun that's starting to go blind.
Yeah.
And then you compare that to the scene where it's the three men at the table and they're all just like laughing it up, having a great time. And then you cut back to the table with the nuns and it's more somber. It's quiet. It's like it builds up the dynamics of the characters so incredibly well.
And I love the what's Meryl Streep's character's name? We keep calling her, sorry, Sister Aloysius. I love just like her code, because there's certain things she's like so staunch on, like, these are the rules, this is what we follow. Like, this is the order. If you have something to say, this is who you talk to. This is the chain of command. Blah blah. But then, like, with that nun going blind, like, the right thing for her to do, according to the rules, or to let the church know, and then she'll be retired. And she's lying about her being blind to protect her. So it's like she has this like really strange code that I can't draw a beat on. Like where does she stand morally on certain things? Where she'll break the rules for this, but for that, it's it's written in stone and you can't change it. So it's such a fascinating character. She plays it so well.
I think it's also interesting because you add a different dynamic because the 60s element to this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the race playing a factor into it as well, like it makes perfect sense why the father would be like trying to make sure this kid fits in, trying to, hold him closely because it could be quite cruel to the people. And like that's even like what Viola Davis like describes. Like he only has to make it like why are you bothering me with this? Like figure it out. Do something with him. Don't do it to my boy. Like it's like this crazy thing that because I just think it adds it has so many potholes and roadblocks to not make it a direct line. Well, there's this that plays a factor into this, and what about this? Or maybe the boy was stealing altar wine and knows if that comes out and the color of his skin could also play a factor and blah blah blah. Like I think it does so well giving so many elements out there. And she could also carry some like prejudice towards the boy because I mean that's not developed in the story, but like maybe they both go if he goes, you know what I mean? Like
and I also think that they kind of indicate that he may be gay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a gay black kid in the 1960s?
Yeah. There's just so many things that you can go into it. And like she treats it like, no, like you have to tell me. And he's like, no, I don't. Like I can hold it to my chest. And like, and they do such a good job of like shattering both like beliefs, like right there, like the new welcoming change and not. It's like as soon as they introduce Frosty the Snowman. Yeah. Like it's like, oh, I think it'd be fun. Witchcraft. Like it's just instantly like, nah. Like what the hell are you talking about? All right, we got somebody that looks okay with witch. Yeah, like it's just this quick like hit, and then it starts chipping. Like, and she probably felt way more comfortable last time, like with the other priest. Like she probably had more power. A new guy comes in, not going to let her have as much. Like there's so different. There's so many elements that you can unpack in this movie, and I think it's just brilliant. And I think the script is super tight. Like, just you get tension from the moment that woman opens her mouth, and it's like Amy Adams is like a great representation of Meryl Streep because it's like the system hasn't broken her. Like the happy-go-lucky new teacher, like ready to set the world on fire. The haggard one that's been there for 30 years waiting for retirement or death, whichever one comes sooner. And like you're just like angry, and I think it's a great dynamic.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to talk about like the introduction to Sister Aloysius, or whatever her character's name is. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, you're right.
Just like the fact that you only see her from behind for a little bit as she's like slapping kids and like straightening them in the church pews. And then like the first time you see her face, it's literally her like by this one sleeping kid. She's just bent over and like the headpiece that she has is that thank you. It's still covering her face. And then she turns this way sideways. And it's just so really interesting. It's unsettling, but it just kind of like really is a great introduction to that character.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how Roger Deakins believed.
That's right.
How did Maddie feel about this one?
Maddie said, really well done movie. No matter what Meryl Streep is in, she fully commits to it, and it makes the movie that much better. I think a lot of people will believe the pastor is guilty purely based on other unfortunate situations that have happened within the Catholic Church. It helps paint him in that light. It would have been kind of interesting to see if Streep's character had gotten the rumor out to some other members of church, parents, or staff, what the reactions would have been, if people would have stood up for him or sided with her. would have kind of been an interesting idea to add. Overall, incredibly well done. This is a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah. I'm kind of I see where Maddie's coming from with that. I kind of just like that it's kept within house.
Yeah.
And like even when she breaks down on the bench at the end and she's like, I have doubt. Like,
oh man, you should have seen Maddie when she said that.
I remember the first time I saw it. I was like, I remember the first time. Now? You have doubt now? You just ruined the guy's fucking life. What do you mean you have doubt? You can't have doubt. You lost that right, man. I was so angry.
Maddie has this tendency, like when something happens and she doesn't like it, she just goes, dumb. Dumb. And so that happens, she like very loudly was like, dumb. It was great.
I like Maddie.
Fair.
I mean, one last question. Bar, you said that the script is pretty much the same as the movie, the play?
It's pretty much the same when it's focused solely on those 4 main characters.
Okay.
When you add like all the kids, that's mostly new stuff.
So is the play shorter than the movie?
Slightly.
Okay. That's the only reason I bring that. One last thing I want to bring up is the pacing. Because it's like an hour 45, I think, and it just flies by. Because like every time I watch this, when Viola Davis shows up, because that's like basically, I think that's like more or less the beginning of the 3rd act. Mm-hmm. Like, and like like the movie's almost over at that point. I'm like, holy crap, she's already here. Because like I feel like I watched like an hour of a TV show. Like that's how quick it flies by. It just paced so well. Again, like just like all the President's Men, like everything is just building off what happened before. It's really well done.
Well,
I give it good. I was going to say, I would give my rating's 4.5.
Okay.
Wow.
It's getting up there. I'm excited. It's one of those movies that I do think, and I've always hated the line, like, I feel the play aspect. This is one I don't feel the play aspect at all. Like, I know it's based on a play, but I don't believe there's 4 walls. Like, I do not believe this is, like, in front of an audience setup at all. Like, they're situational like rooms, and I think they do a really good job of the walking in the park to like open the space up. But like I don't feel it, and that's awesome. But I don't like that criticism for most things. Like, yeah, they read a script. It's from a play, but like it's a fucking movie. Shut your mouth. I'm 5 stars. I'm 5 stars. It's climbed so high on my list numerous times, and the fact that I know the ending and I know what's about to happen, and I'm still just like can't wait to see it happen again. That just shows how powerful the movie truly is. So, yeah. So 5 stars for me. Bar.
I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I'm kind of on the fence between like a high 4 and like a low 4.5.
Wish I had 2.
If only I had a 4.25 on Letterboxd. That would make this so much easier. I'm gonna go with a very strong 4.
Strong 4. Koho.
I'm a 4.5. I think that, like Kirk said, it flies by. I think all the interpersonal dynamics are really great. Poor Philip Seymour Hoffman, as a performance, it's such an Oscar-worthy performance for me, and he just had to have the movie come out in 2008. It's just unfortunate for him, but he's so good.
Also, if Koho's big on companion pieces, if you watch Doubt and then watch Spotlight, they're locking up the pastor from this movie into Spotlight. That's just
the pastor from Spotlight is the guy who left this parish at the start of
His name is circled at the end.
The double feature I had when I first watched this that was really good for me was Doubt and Defending Your Life. It was actually a really good double feature. Not like thematically, but just tonally. It worked really well.
That's fair. Last movie of the night. It's kind of weird that it's at the very end. I don't know how everybody else will feel. Me and Kirk have had side conversations about this prior. It's broadcast news. Or a TNT movie.
Or how Holly Hunter got robbed of an Oscar.
True. This was the same year that
Cher.
Moonstruck? The Cher one. I don't know. I think she's good. I do think she's good. I do like Cher and Moonstruck too. 87 weird Oscar though. Weird Oscars here. Last Empire. So interesting. Everybody saw this movie prior, right? We've all had Boatman in our lives, so we definitely had to have seen this at some point. Or you were never going to get a trivia question, right? Albert Brooks sweats a lot. So I liked this movie a lot when I first watched it. I did. I think I like any kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like
Journalism,
like not like triangle like kind of thing. Like if they're both all good presented like that, Holly Hunter, like great leads just bouncing off each other. I'm gonna be honest, it went down for me on a rewatch. It did. I don't love it as much as I did originally. I thought it was good. But I don't feel like it has a like staying power as much. I'm curious what everybody else thought though. We'll save Kirk for last.
I am slightly higher on it than it was the first time, but not by much. I think I noticed a little bit more this time that I really like. I really like. Weirdly enough, a James L. Brooks movie has good cinematography in this one. I think that's wild to say because I don't think he picks good people to shoot his movies. But Michael Ballhaus, the way he frames things, like when they're framing William Hurt down like on the desk through the window, you can see him, but like Holly Hunter's in profile talking, you see the way that like she's the reason he's succeeding. I think that there's just great visual language in it. I think the three main performances are all very good. I think Albert Brooks is great. I think Holly Hunter is great. I think William Hurt's good. I think but I also think he's not supposed to be likable. I just don't like him. But I think that like the story's pretty serviceable. I think like the three characters' performances are really the reason to watch, and like the way they all like do their thing. But yeah, for me, I've never quite totally understood the intense love for this movie. I still don't. I like workplace dramas can be really well done. And I think that everyone in it is good and doing a very good job at their specific scenes. Like Joan Cusack has like a really great scene in this. But I think on the whole, I would say I enjoy it. And it's one of those that falls in the box of I enjoy it while I'm watching it. The moment it's off, I forget about it. So
this movie went up for me, actually. I fucking love this movie. I actually knew this movie before Bowman brought it to me. And
incorrect. False.
Well, I don't forget I used James L. Brooks' strength early on in my career.
False. Incorrect.
Whatever. So yeah, I love all the performances. I'm not a big William Hurt fan, to be completely honest with you.
He's a weird dude.
He kind of falls into the Kevin Costner kind of thing for me. Like no, seriously, he does. Where like sometimes he's really good, other times he's just wet cardboard.
A block of wood.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the ones where like I really like connected with the character. He felt like a fully fleshed person. Kind of a douchebag, but he had moments where you were like, oh, he's charming and like, you know, thoughtful and stuff like that. I love the idea. I think this movie has aged incredibly well when it comes to the idea of journalistic integrity. Because that's what Holly Hunter's character is fighting the entire time in the film. Like, because at the beginning, she's like, yeah, like we're losing the integrity and we're two like shiny, happy people. And then she meets one of them and she's like, fuck, I'm falling for this shiny, happy person. And I love the workplace setting of this film. I think the dynamics that everybody in the station has. I also like the fact that it's kind of got this, and Kirk's gonna freak when I say this. The main characters all have this kind of Seinfeld-esque feel to them where I think that they're all kind of terrible people. Like the scene where they're deciding which anchor to send to Alaska, and even without a thought, she's like, the one that's dating Tom. Like, get rid of that bitch. I'm gonna move into that spot. Like, they all have like these little moments where you're kind of like, wow, you're a terrible person, but I still like you for some reason. My favorite element about this movie is actually the relationship between Holly Hunter's character and Albert Brooks's character. I think that it's just so pure, especially the anger. I think the anger between these two characters is just written so purely, because she does kind of lead him on, but then he's also like too dependent on her, and like I think that it's just a well-built dynamic between the two of them. Yeah, this is one of my favorite films.
Here comes Johnny with a bat, an axe, and a baseball bat. Go ahead, Kirk. You're muted.
I'm not muted this time.
Muted.
I watched this movie once just as a movie, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. But you people forced me to watch it under this microscope of top 100 movies all time. What you're doing, basically what people are doing on this list, is you're taking like a 12-year-old kid who's a really good wrestler. He's like state champion at the 100-pound weight class. And instead of letting him just flourish where he's at, you're taking that kid and throwing him in a UFC cage with Conor McGregor. And now I have to beat the crap out of that 12-year-old kid. That's the position you put me in. If we were doing top 100 movies to watch on TBS on a Saturday afternoon with your mom because there's nothing else to do and it's raining outside, absolutely. Write this one in stone. It's top 10. Perfect. Top 100 movies all time is nonsense. This is like it's just forgettable. Like it's not. There's nothing really here to cling to. Barr said it. Like none of these characters are likable, but I don't like them anyway. It's like William Hurt, and I agree. William Hurt is like a very boring actor. I completely buy him in this role as like this empty-headed nothing. But he's just this good-looking twit who's been promoted beyond anything he deserves because he's good-looking. And the fact that he recognized that doesn't make it any better. Albert Brooks comes across as like way too like bitter and mean-spirited to be sympathetic. And Holly Hunter is this supposedly principled woman who immediately abandons all of her principles when a good-looking man pays attention to her. So there's nobody in this movie to like, nobody to root for. The story is fine. There's nothing. It's way too long. It doesn't need to be. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, ridiculously long. I'll give it to Koho. There are a couple good-looking scenes, but the most of it is shot like a TV show. I felt like I was watching an episode of like CSI or something, or Law and Order. The score is so boring. Like it's just like the most generic score you're ever going to hear. It's like, duty or royalty-free stuff you get off of YouTube. It's so super generic. And there's just, it's not, you guys are crazy. Like I said, if I was just like, when I watch this as a movie, it's fine. Under these conditions we're watching these movies, this is maybe the most ridiculous pick that's been on this list so far.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were going to caught in that crossfire. I thought I'd only be attacking certain people. I didn't realize you were going to be one of the targets.
I do think Holly Hunter is the best in this film. I really do. I think she's really good. But I mean, I think it's a well done film. Like that's not a problem. Like if this was on, I'm not like running to the thing to turn it off. But like I'm not like head over heels in love with this movie. So I mean, it is what it is. I think there's great scenes. I like the sweat scene. I think is still like really good, like really well done. Like it takes
like how the one hand it just like reaches in the back trying to fix like the thing in the background.
So yeah, anything else on this one? I don't want to like rip it apart. I don't want to leave the last note with the baseball bat to its head. If you want to
I do really like Albert Brooks's performance in this movie. I think he gets to take all of the things that he's strong at and add a little bit of depth under them. I think the best moment for me in the movie from him is when she comes over after he's bombed and the way he's so awful to her and then immediately like, don't go, come on, come back. Like how he just repels her and then draws her back like a yo-yo throughout that entire scene. And like I think his best beat in that is when he's like, and I'm in love with you. How about that? I buried the lead. It's like such a great part. And like I also love the line where he's like, Tom, well, being a really nice guy is the devil.
It's the devil.
And just going on that, I was like, well, think about it. If it makes sense, the devil's not going to show up with pointy horns and a tail. Like, you wouldn't listen to him if he was. He's going to look like Tom. Is like, I think that's like, I think Albert Brooks really delivers in that entire scene. So.
One of my favorite lines in the entire film is actually at the party at the house where I think the guy's name is Paul. He's like the executive head.
Yeah.
Pulls her aside, and no, she pulls him aside, and is like he's not like Tom's not ready. Like you put on Aaron. Like Aaron's the one who's ready. And they have this little back and forth, and he's at one point he's like, and I'm paraphrasing obviously, but he's like, it must be great to always know that you're the smartest person in the room. And she's like, no, it's terrible. I'm like, that builds like the character of her like just so much, I think. Yeah.
And Paul the boss is also really good when they start doing the budget cuts and they're going there and cutting people. And Jack Nicholson's just like, it's so awful. If I could do something to fix it, I would. And he's just like, well, you could cut a couple million off your salary. And he looks he's like, terrible joke. Awful. Really, forgive me.
That scene's actually my favorite in the film, the layoff scene, because you start to capture the emotion of like not just the main characters, but like the setting. Especially like that one guy who just like kind of walks through just like, it's fucking bullshit. Like you get the weight and the emotion that scene has.
I will say this.
Okay.
This is definitely another movie, the second one we've talked about so far in the series, that could have used a lot more Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. But most movies could.
True.
That's very true. Okay. We'll get ratings, and then we'll go to the side where everything goes, and then move on from there. Okay, Koho.
I give it a 4. And then Maddie says, this was fun to watch a lot of younger versions of some actors and actresses I really like. Albert Brooks, William Hurt, Joan Cusack, Holly Hunter, Jack Nicholson, all faves of mine. This is kind of a hot take, but the storyline itself was fairly forgettable. The second the movie was off, I was no longer sitting there thinking about it, and it wasn't one I would be raving to my friends about. It had great moments throughout, which captured my attention and would draw me in, and then there are other moments that were less than enjoyable and made the movie feel longer than it actually was. I was also very annoyed during the end of the movie when Jane was talking about how sad that layoff was, and everybody was actively getting a promotion, and she very loudly in the moment was like, fuck off, Jane. She says, let these people collect their things and leave, God damn it. She gives it a 3.5 at the best.
Okay. What was yours?
I gave it a 4.
Okay. I'm also at 4 stars. Like, it's not an overall bad movie whatsoever. Just not a top 100 movie. Like, no. Bar.
I understand how people would not put it on a top 100. It probably, arguably, is not like one of the 100 greatest films ever made. I will give you that. It's one of my favorite films ever made.
There we go.
4.5 stars.
Wow. Kirk.
When I watched this just to watch it, it was 3.5. But when I was forced to watch it for the show, it dropped down to 2.
Fuck off.
Like I said, you all have no one to blame but yourselves. Pick better movies next time.
I didn't even put it on my list.
Well, I'm not talking.
2 stars. Dang. Okay. All right, so I need everybody to write down. Maddie does not get a vote through Koho, but I need everybody to write down what they want as the 5th place movie for this list. Your choices again are All the President's Men, Finding Nemo, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Doubt, and Broadcast News. I will not be breaking a tie unless you all put 3 different movies. Then I guess I have to. We'll go Kirk.
No big surprise.
Okay, we'll go Koho.
Broadcast News.
Okay, and Bar.
Finding Nemo.
You motherfucker.
Okay, Broadcast News. Okay, next, what you want in your 4th spot? Bar.
Hold on, Koho's still writing. There you go. Finding Nemo.
Koho.
All the President's Men.
Kirk, Finding Nemo.
Yeah, sorry, Koho.
Motherfucker.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
Now you know how I feel.
This is why you need Maddie here. All the President's Men versus Finding Nemo may not have been a nice bloodshed for you. Now you want for your number 3. Don't know why he erased it. We'll go Koho.
All the President's Men.
Kirk.
Oh, brother.
Bar.
Doubt.
What did you put, Kirk?
Oh, brother. It's tough.
All the President's Men.
Wow. Okay.
Now vote for your number 1 Doubt or never mind. Changing it. Oh Brother is 3. Oh Brother's 3. Oh Brother's 3. So
now.
Doubt what?
Can't change it now. That's lame.
Oh, hey, my show. I can do whatever I want. This is your number 1. What you want to be number 1, not number 2. Number 1.
You knew what me and Bar were about to do. We were about to put Oh Brother at 1, and you were like, "Oh no, I need my movie."
No, so I let my personal takes go into it. I went with best film of all time. Like I have to hold it to that standard. I don't have any dog in any of these fights anymore, and I was gonna let that win. Koho. So Doubt's number 1. You're number 1. Kirk.
Doubt.
Okay.
Well, I had Doubt at my 3, so All the President's Men.
That's fair. So this list, how it reads is Doubt, All the President's Men, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Finding Nemo, Broadcast News. Basically, Finding Broadcast News dropped all the way to the end, which is different. Again, next month, we have Saving Private Ryan, The Red Shoes, Scream, Prisoners, and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And if you thought Broadcast News took a hit, you ain't seen nothing yet. We'll check it out next
Some of these beat some of the movies in this episode.